Welcome guys to a new tool birthday, the brand new Fireball Miter Squares. This is one of my favorite tools in the workshop, the Speed Square. Nothing's ever gonna replace it, but it also has its weaknesses. Also, this square right here, the framing square. I love this tool, but it has some weaknesses. It'd be nice maybe if we can combine some of the strengths and weaknesses together. So I wanna make it known to you guys, this isn't going to take the place of any of these tools. This is just another option that's gonna do something special. We call this the Miter Square for a reason. So what this tool is really designed for is layout on tubing. I'm sure you can already see some of its benefits already. So what's cool about them is we've tried to keep the cost down. We've made them out of stainless steel. They come in a pack of 3. They're 32 bucks. We have 3 different sizes. And now I want to show you how they work now that I have your attention. So let's look at the Speed Square and the Miter Square side by side and look at the differences really quick. If you notice, the Speed Square has got the hook located on one of the legs of the 90 and the hypotenuse is left open. The Miter Square moves the hook to the hypotenuse of the triangle, and the hook is really large and it's only on one side. So when you look at them together, it's really this square and this square combined, back to back with a long leg on it. So now that you kind of see what we're going with this, you can start to see some benefits. But I love this square, it still has its place, but I'm gonna show you some benefits of this one. For this demonstration, I'm gonna be using the little square. I want a opposite miter over here at 12 inches. Now that I have my mark, how long I want from point to point, now when I put it in the chop saw, you see I had to roll it, and now I have lost that line that would typically come through here. So now I need to make a 45 line that this saw is gonna be able to match up to. So I need to lay this tube out again. I'd have to take my Speed Square, match that line to the edge of the Speed Square, roll it over, and make that line just like that. So it's a 2-step process, right? As you can see, I can now put this back in the saw, bring it down, line up the line to the blade, and make a cut. But let me show you how this one would work. We could do the same thing. I can make a mark where my length is. I can put this Miter Square right there on that line, and now I can make a line all the way around, and that line is exactly where I need to go. Okay, so now I want this other line going the other direction. Maybe I'm gonna skinny wheel it. All I gotta do is flip it, line up that same line that I just did before, and make a mark. Now I want this straight line, because now this straight line is not there anymore. How do you do that? Well, now we can flip it, match the 45 up, and make a mark. Okay, so now we have a layout all the way around this tube. Pretty simple. That may be for somebody that needs to skinny wheel it, cut it in another situation. That works really good. Here's where the Speed Square has a hiccup. Large radius tubing like this one. It barely hooks the edge. So this hook on the Speed Square is actually on the roll of the tube. So if I wanted to miter this block and I make a mark 9 inches on the flat, if I want to transfer the 45 from that line, my Speed Square hook is not long enough. I could guess, is what I normally do. I'm just gonna sight down it and guess where it's at. But it's not optimal, right? I think we could all agree. The other thing we're gonna notice about the Speed Square too on large radius tubing is now that the dimension is not correct. If we were to hook a tape measure on here and we were to read the scale, you can see we're off almost a 1/16 of an inch. Right? You see how the 1 and the 2 and the 3, they're not lined up because the hook does not read correctly. So that's a problem. But that's where the Miter Square comes in. We can line up our mark, we can make a straight line there, we can roll it over, and then we can make a 45 and go all the way to the edge. Now let's say we wanted to carry this straight line over. How could we do that? Well, I could just move this over to here like that, line up this inside mark, and then carry it around over to the next side and repeat the process over again. And you see we're lined right back up where we started. A perfect ring around the end of that tube. Really nice layout. And let's talk about being on measurement. Because we have a large hook right here, this top measurement is actually referencing off of this inside edge. So as we reference the inside edge, that's 1, that's 3, we can lay stuff out. We can slide down the wall. That would be 2 inches on center, right on the money. This is where this square and this square act similar. I can lay this out. I have a nice straight edge. I can do layout. I can do markings because I have a ruler right here. Now let's look at some layout from an object. If you notice on the inside of the Miter Square, we have a set of rule. We also have layout on the inside. What this rule is indicating is off the backside. So the backside of this flange is this rule. So if we want to butt it up against an object like this, we can lay out up against a flat. We can have a straight line. Lay out up the wall, down the inside. And then of course we have that same line if we want to make a mark and make a 45, we got that too. So I like that it lays flat. It's very helpful. Here's another example, the speed square. This only has a scale going up, not out. There is no scale on this hook. However, the miter square, the scale goes up both sides, out and up. It kind of mimics this, the framing square. This is where I like this square versus this one is because it has a scale going on the left and the right. So we've copied that, and that way you can do layout 2, 1, and give yourself a line there. Here's another example. As you can see, like for here, I've cut the corner off this square to be able to do this, to check after something's been welded. So we can still use this square to square things up, just like a regular square would. It actually kind of balances itself because it's got a kickstand here. But we have implemented that same point right there to jump over a weld. And just the fact that it lays flat allows me to just square stuff up. Check it out. What I like about it too is just for general layout. Let's say I wanted a circle 1 inch in from the corner. I would put my scale there at 1 inch, make a mark, there's 1 inch. As you can see, dead on 1 inch there. And we are right on the money at 1 inch right there, ready for a center punch and a hole. Pretty cool, huh? And the other thing I like about it too is I can check the miter. So if this was a cut, I can bring this over to the edge and check it. And I like that it's just small. If you want to split a 45, there's 22.5 for you. Pretty common miter dimensions. All right, so there you have it. 4 of my favorite new squares. The miter squares, the speed square, the framing square, and of course, the good old combination square. They all have their place, they all have their strengths. Hopefully you guys find a use for the miter squares as much as I have. They're pretty cool for 32 bucks. Go grab them while you can. I think you'll find them very useful. So thank you guys for watching. See you on the next one.